welcome to Word on the Street. I am Ashley Kobarger, a dealer consultant here with Dealer OMG. Andrew is out of the country, so I am holding down the fort on the podcast today.
Amazing.
And I am joined by Kaylin Holbrook, the social media manager at Sandpack 5-Star Chevrolet. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's long.
And we're here to just talk about social media in your dealership and best practices and tips and advice. So Kaylin, just kind of for everyone that doesn't know you, kind of give a little introduction and how you got started in the auto business and how that led to social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kaylin, as Ashley said. And I was in college and I was going in for human resources. That's what I got my major in. And the last couple of weeks, my business college reached out to me and was like, hey, there's an internship opportunity at a dealership. And of course, and it was a paid internship. And so, of course, coming out of college, you're trying to make as much money as you can. So I was like, yeah, I'll interview for it. Like, not thinking, like, in my head, I'm like, I don't want to work at a dealership. Like, that wasn't in my path. And interviewed, got the job, the internship, and it was part-time, Monday through Friday type of thing. And I was supposed to go through every department at the dealership to learn the business side. And the last 2 weeks, the people that were doing the internship through Sandpack, they had to present their experience. And then one of the questions that were asked was, what's something that we missed that we didn't do? And so I was like, social media, like that's part of the business too, especially in today's world. So the last 2 weeks of my internship, my GM, Alan Brown, he had me do videos and stuff like that. And with the first 3 videos I sent him, he pulled me in a couple days before my last day as for my internship. And he's like, hey, you want a full-time job? And I was like, absolutely. I would love a full-time job. Even though it had nothing to do with what, I graduated with, but hey, sometimes that's life. You just go with the flow. So that's how I got started in the dealership with social media, is through this internship. And a lot of people always ask, like, oh, did you go to school for it? Like, did you go to classes afterwards to learn about social media? No, I didn't. I honestly feel, that's my generation. I grew up with social media growing up too. Yeah. So it's kind of self-taught. But yeah, it's social media in the dealership world is hard too if you don't have your general managers, your managers buy into it. And I was very blessed with Alan because he off the bat, was very involved in doing the videos, which trickles down to the managers wanting to do videos, which then trickled down to our other employees. I'm not saying that every employee wants to do a video or be a part of that, but there's a lot, our culture, a lot of them do say yes. So yeah. Upper management.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's so funny to me. I feel like most of us that landed in auto, that wasn't our path.
Yeah. Never would have thought. Yeah.
Yeah. My degree was in fashion merchandising, so it's way, off the beaten path.
Yeah.
But it was kind of the same with me. Like, I was working part-time for Germain Motor Company, and they were like, hey, there's this thing called Facebook and we don't really want to learn it. Can you this right up your alley? Can you
yeah. Yeah. You let us know how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the questions, since you were blessed with buy-in, do you have any tips or advice for someone who is kind of beating that drum of trying to get social media started in their dealership and they're having a hard time getting buy-in?
It's hard to do. and I know that I'm blessed with my team. But I would say try and get someone that does always say yes and already is bought in. You know, you always have to ask. Everyone's going to say no to you at some point, but try to get like that manager that actually sees like the potential and the value in social media, and hopefully your GM, maybe after a while, you know, like do a video for me, um, the amount of no's I've had at this dealership, even though a lot of people, you know, are involved in it, I mean, that's just it comes with the job. Like, they're like, oh, I'm working. You tell them back, well, I'm working too. You know, you have to stay consistent, and you can't be discouraged. You always have to, you know, keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes, you know, maybe you have to prove yourself, which is sad, but sometimes you do. And so you just keep doing those videos, you keep posting them, even if they're not getting the views that you want them to, or, you know, the potential that you know you have. Just keep posting, and then hopefully your team sees the value in that eventually, and there'll be more buy-in. Because I know in the beginning, um, there was a set few that always said yes. So of course, I'm always going back to them. And then after we started actually doing well and are, you know, getting seen, having some viral videos, then a lot more other people wanted to be in that as well, especially sales guys, because they're like, oh, well, you know, if I'm in a video, like they see my face all the time, you know, those customers are going to want to come to you because you built the trust on the platform.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered it well, but.
No, that was perfect. And you kind of hit on a couple points too of being consistent.
Yeah.
That was always, you know, my best advice to people is just get on the camera and do it. Like you're gonna figure it out one way or another, what's working and what isn't.
Yeah. Everyone has their own niches on how they like doing social media. Like for me, I'm barely in any videos just because everyone's like, your social media, you should be in the videos. And I was like, I do better editing. Like I see the picture better. So like Nathan, or we call him Nate Dog on the camera, I was talking to him yesterday in this past week. I was like, Nathan, like I need some videos from you. Like can I get you in so we can, you know, shoot some videos? And he's like, well, why don't you go do it? Like, I'm like myself being it. I'm like, see, our audience doesn't want that right now. They want Nate Dog.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was another question of mine was, how did you find him? Or was he like one of the first people that volunteered, or was that kind of part of the trickle down effect?
So he came in about probably a year and a half, 2 years after I started doing social media. So he wasn't the first one to, you know, pop in the videos. But he was the first consistent one to be in all the videos and want to do that. He started as a sales guy, and he had that big bubbly personality, you know, and he likes to be on the camera. And he had actually recorded a video himself, or he had another sales guy record a video for him, and then he sent it to me, and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty good content. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and post it. And posted it, ended up, you know, at that point going viral. It was like a mini viral for us. And then I was like, I actually did pretty good. Like, let's do more videos, you know? So it was kind of just like placed in, you know, in my hands. But there always, especially with the younger sales guys, there's always should be someone that wants to be on the camera like that. Sometimes you just have to show them, you know, the value in it, and, you know, break them out of their shell. Because I mean, at first, like, you get on camera, even like with me, with some of the things I do with Nathan, like we had a brake check video. Like, it was just like a funny thing, and I had to be on the camera because someone had a brake check while he was for test driving. And so it was like a one-liner, but of course I'm never on the camera, and so we had to retake it probably like 3 times before I actually got my words right. So I mean, it's people who aren't used to it, they're gonna stumble, but that's the great thing about editing is you can always edit around that or make it bloopers, which people love seeing bloopers.
Yes, I love watching those when you guys post the bloopers, and they're just so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it also, it shows that, it kind of humanizes the dealership world and breaks that barrier of, dealerships are bad. Like if you just let them laugh, like your social media is really for entertainment. So just entertain while also staying on brand with, your core values.
Yes. Yeah. And that was another question of mine, was how you kind of stay on brand and kind of incorporate those like trendy things that are happening, because not all trends fit. Yeah. So how do you pick and choose what is good for your social media?
So that's a good question. Most trends, you can put a spin on it to fit, your business, your car dealership. Some businesses are more free on like what you can post. Like some businesses don't mind, if there's cuss words in there, or if, there's like different sayings of the trends out there. But then other businesses are like, stay professional, watch what you're saying. So you kind of have to know which way your business goes. And so for me, and knowing Mr. Pack, he, be more professional about it. Like that's his image that, like, we're trying to keep with all of his dealerships. So you just kind of have to have that filter on, with the trends. But there was a trend where you would spin the bottle, and just like I think it was like shoes. Like you'd pick your shoes and you spin the bottle and you pick the shoes. I was like, oh, I can do that with the keys, and then show the card. And then that video was actually the first one that hit million views for us on TikTok, and consistently hit the millions for a while. Of course, then the algorithm changes.
Yeah.
You have to find something else, but you can always circle back to it later on.
Yes. Yeah, that's amazing. That's always my advice too when people ask about how do I get started, and I'm like, just scroll through and find something you like or that you think is funny, and rebrand it and make it yours.
Exactly. And you do have to spend some time on social media. It feels weird being at work and just like scrolling through TikTok, but it's like, I'm looking for trends to like get our name out there, and like actually, that's just part of the job. I mean, don't spend all day scrolling, right? Find something that you think that you can tweak and make it your own. Yeah. And that's what social media is everyone's copying everyone, staying up with the trends.
Absolutely. So do you have like a specific amount of videos you have to hit each month, or what kind of like goals are set in place for you?
So when I first started, and we were really, when I first started doing social media is when the dealership started actively posting. So I had a goal of 3 to 5 posts for Instagram and Facebook a day. And then for, we do TikTok and YouTube as well. And I would just try to post 1 to 2 a day. And it's about consistency. So in the beginning of the day, I'll post a customer, like a customer buying a car. I'll have the sales guys take a picture, send it to me, send me their name, post like congrats. So that's always what I do in the morning. And that counts as one post on, Instagram and Facebook. And then it could be another post about what we're doing in the community, what event we had just done or what's coming up. Or then it could be a video, like a how-to video, like one of ours that we had just posted and actually was the first video to hit millions of views on all 4 platforms that we do is a how-to video on how to take out the back glass on our EV Silverado and like how to do that. And not saying that it was all good, comments, but you'll get hate comments on every platform. You just kind of have to filter those out. Even though there's a hate comment, it's still publicity for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the more comments, the more it pushes the video out on the algorithm. So you're like, keep hating on it.
Yeah. Honestly, you just had to let that roll off your back. We posted a service video, and there's a lot of hate comments on like the process. Everyone's different. There's a lot of hate comments on the process, and so I asked my service manager. I was like, "Are we doing the correct process?" Because sometimes you do question yourself. And he's like, "Yeah, that's the right process." And he started reading the comments, and he's like, "Just take it down." I'm like, "No." If it's the correct process, like everyone's gonna have their own opinion on things, and you just gotta, you're right. Just we'll keep it up. Like it's doing good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And sometimes you can kind of not clap back, but you can just respond and be like, what would you change to make it better? Like,
yeah, you can definitely interact with them, but you shouldn't be interacting a lot with people who are commenting. But yeah, you can let them know, like if they're saying something out of pocket, like it's not true. Like typically I post a video or a picture of like a more like a Tahoe or Suburban, and they're like, "Oh, that's $200,000. I'm like, "No, like, this one's actually 60."
right.
You just like, you have to be kind and like nice and polite. You are a business and you're trying to represent yourself and the business, the company. But sometimes you do comment back, and typically they won't respond back. Or yeah. I had one that I responded back to, and he's like, "Oh, thanks for explaining. Like, I didn't know." Absolutely, you're welcome. Have a great
day. Yeah, that's great. I know I always it would irritate me, and then I would type out a reply, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna delete that. I can't.
Yeah. I know my very first month here, and I got my first hate comment. It was on Facebook, and I freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh! I ran to my GM. I was like, Alan, we got a hate comment. What do we do? Blah blah blah. And he's just like, oh, just respond to them saying this and this and that. I was like, what? Like, respond back. I was like, and it wasn't like, oh, sorry. It wasn't like I'm used to there's hate comments, like just apologize. And he was like, no, just set them straight. Like, be nice about it and let them know what it actually is. And I was so nervous. And then now I'm just like, okay, yeah, either let it roll off your back or respond kindly.
Yeah. Oh, the world of internet trolls.
Yeah. Keyboard warriors over here.
So have you noticed a difference in engagement between platforms? Since they're kind of all different and they have different demographics, do you adjust what you post, or do you post across all 3 or 4 at the same time?
If it's videos, more than likely I'm posting on all 4 platforms. And TikTok does, for us at least, it had more of an interaction, and we got seen quicker through TikTok. That's why it's good to have more than just one platform. Yeah. And then plus the younger generations that are starting to buy cars, they're going on TikTok as their new Google. Like they want to see, So TikTok had more of a response back to us. And then also YouTube, which whenever I first started, I was like, who's actually still using YouTube? But a lot of people are, and I feel like TikTok and Instagram, there's more kind people commenting. Yeah, I don't know. And then Facebook, it's more like the rude ones. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like if I could delete Facebook, I would.
But again, it's important because there's a lot of people on Facebook.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you can't exactly do that when it's so when social media is your job.
Yeah.
So when you do get feedback from customers, does that kind of spark ideas for content? Like, hey, we should do something on this because someone asked a question. What kind of role does the feedback play into it?
Yeah. Well, if it's good feedback, like when stuff that you can work with, you just, especially on TikTok and Instagram, they make it so easy to reply back to a comment with a video. So sometimes we'll post, like a Silverado, RST, and then they're like, oh, what about a Z71? Can you show us one with that? Or like a high country? And then so you make the video and you reply back to them. And typically they like it when they get replied back to like that. But I totally lost what else I was about to say. A blank. It'll come back eventually.
No worries. Yeah, I love that option where you can respond back with a video. I think that's genius. TikTok really knows how to keep the engagement going, which is great.
Yeah. So we also had on TikTok, I call it Chevy versus Chevy, which it could be like, a 2023 compared to 2024 model and like the differences and similarities. Mm-hmm. And the guy that commented was like, oh, you should make a playlist like on TikTok where it automatically, shows all the videos like that. And I was like, yeah, why am I not doing that? So I went ahead and did it, replied back with another Chevy versus Chevy, and then put it on a playlist. And he replied back like, thanks. So good interaction like that is, something that you should look for in social media too.
Yes. I love playlists. Like that's how I learned how to make bread. Like I started making my own sourdough bread because I watched someone's playlist like from beginning to end. And I was like, oh, it's really not that hard. Like,
yeah.
It's so easy because they're like broken down into smaller videos. You can just go back and watch, whatever you're trying to learn or
like your most popular videos. We have a playlist just for Nathan.
Yeah.
And I know when someone clicks on our videos for Nathan because they'll start liking all of the videos like like Nathan, you got another, another fan.
I love it. Yeah, you guys really hit the jackpot.
Yeah, very
with him because he's just so funny and personable. Like he doesn't,
Yeah, he doesn't let people get to him, and he's always, authentically himself.
Yeah,
on camera and off camera. And I feel like, being authentic, that's also something that's, want to be seen.
Yes. Well, I love that because like the statistics are women are like 90% of the deciding factor in buying a car.
Yeah, I heard that.
So having him on there, and obviously a lot of women love him, is just genius because, they're going to follow him and be like, I'm going to go buy a car from.
Yeah. He's actually had a few people come and buy a car from him through seeing his videos on TikTok. So, that's pretty cool. And I was like, we need to ask all the other, customers how do they hear of us?
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you kind of just roll with content that you think of that week, or do you already have like pre-planned stuff that you're going to shoot for the week or the month? What kind of planning do you do?
So typically it's just like a video I see and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna, make it my own. But whenever I am scrolling, getting ideas, I'll send it to either like my personal one or, Nathan. And I'm like, hey, these are the videos we got to do next. And I don't sit down and make like a month calendar of what I'm going to post, when I'm going to post it. That's just for social media. Like it's so quick and like fast paced. You just have to see a trend, do it, and then go to the next. So for me, it doesn't work. I wouldn't be able to do that for me, but everyone's different. If I see it, I like it, and I know that, it fits within our parameters, put our little spin on it.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of like how it sparks ideas faster. Yeah. You're watching it and you're like, oh, we could do it like with the bottles. We could do it with keys.
Right.
So yeah, that's awesome.
You just kind of have to stay on your toes with social media because the algorithm is always changing.
Yes. Yeah. And have you found any, like, do you have any tips for keeping up with that other than just, continuously on there and looking for new trends?
No. I do. I will have some of my coworkers like send me trends that they think is fun. So it's basically either me seeing it, my coworkers seeing it. I do know that some have used Chat GPT for some ideas, like what are some, trends going on, like in the dealership world, and it'll give you a little list. But
yeah,
I actually haven't tried that. I should though. But sometimes you're not creative. Sometimes you have that block.
Yes.
Using those type of tools. But other than that, it's just you got to do your homework on social media.
Yes, I agree. Whenever I had a block and was like, I don't know what's post today, I was on there scrolling trying to find.
Right. I also feel like those days sometimes, me at least, I post the best content because I'm like, oh, like I don't know what to post. Like I'm gonna just post this like short 7-second clip of like an oil change or something, a blooper, whatever, and it ends up just blowing up. I'm like, what the heck? The days when I like take at least an hour to edit some videos, depending on what it is, it's like not as good. I'm like, what is going on?
Yes. Yeah, that's always like that. You're like, I'm just gonna throw something up and see what happens, and those are the ones that go crazy, and then the ones you spend the most time on, you're like, okay, is this thing on? Like,
right. Yeah.
Is anyone seeing it?
Right. No, most of my coworkers know that I always have my phone on me, of course. And so if I see something or like they say something, I'm like, oh, say that again. Like, let me record it. And they're like, why? I'm like, everything is content. Everything is content. Whether it's picture, a video, short clip, longer clip explaining, the how to's or whatever. I'm like, everything's content.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Everything is content.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, are there any other tips or tricks you can think of that we haven't touched?
Just don't be discouraged if you're posting and you're not getting the views that you want. Be consistent. Find if there is a video you post and it does well, do it again. Do it differently. Just like the spin the bottle with the keys. I've probably done 30, 60, whatever many. Just because that's what's liked. So you just gotta be consistent on posting. Make sure you are posting each day that you're at work, at least, depending on the platform, 3 to 5 times, 1 to 2 times. Just be consistent.
I love that. Yeah, consistency is the name of the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, social media can be tough if you're not staying up to date, but if you're in it every day, you'll see something that inspires you to make it your own.
Yes. Yeah. Inspiration's always a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can also, I started following other dealerships. When I first started, my GM told me that. He's like, oh, go follow, your competition. I'm like, why? But they, some of them are actually posting, content as well, and you can take it and make it your own, or you can be like, oh, they're doing that. We should do that too. Just follow the other dealerships. Another tip is going to social media conferences because they really do have a lot of good information, and you can meet people there, follow their accounts, follow each other, and you can go back and forth on ideas. That's why every time I meet someone, I'm like, yeah, if you see anything I'm posting, you post it too. I'm gonna do the same to you. Text me if you like have any, you don't know what to do. I mean, it's a little community. You just had to, keep pushing through and staying consistent.
Yes. I love that. Social media conferences really are the best, because especially when you're kind of in that grind and you're like, ugh, I don't know what to do next. You go to one of those and you're like, okay, I have all these ideas now.
Yeah, you really do come back with a lot of ideas and, equipment sometimes, just like the last Beam Social conference.
Yeah.
I've been to both of them the past 2 years, loved them each time. You learn so much. Even if you went the year before, you should always, continue your education on it.
Yes. Yeah, because social media changes so much. Like, you're not going to be learning the same thing each year at the conference. So
Yes, absolutely.
it's a great tip.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me today and all of your wonderful words of wisdom. If you need help with social media, go follow Sandpack 5-Star Chevrolet and give Kaylin a little wave.
Yeah. Yes, I'd love that. I'll follow you back.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.